Margaret Lewin and welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today we are going to start working on these all aboard training cases and I just think they're adorable. The fabric we are using is Echo by Erin McMorris and I'm very excited to use this. This is a free spirit fabric and I think it's going to be nice to work with. I have a total of 4 fabrics for the 3 bags and I wanted to mix them up a little bit but not too much. So what I decided to do is the medium bag are in these 2 prints and I just think they really look very, very nice together. I haven't decided. I believe what I'm going to do is this is going to be the outside print and this will be the lining. As I said, I'm not 100% certain, but that's how I've cut it and that's how I think I'm going to do it. Then that's the medium size. And the next size that we're going to look at is the small size. This is the small, and I have cut the small so that our lining is going to be this fabric and the outside of our bag is going to be this. So I'll line these up together so that you can see them all together. They really look very, very sharp together. I'm very, very excited about this one. The last one we're doing is the large one. And on the large one, I have swapped the fabrics and this is going to be my lining and this is going to be the outside. And I'll pick up one of these big pieces so that I can set them all together. So this is my large, this is my small, and this is my medium. Now, in the directions, Annie does tell you how to lay them out. But I am going to forewarn you right now because I made the mistake and I don't want you guys making the mistake too. There are a number of pieces, this one included. You can see it's quite long. In fact, I can't even get it on camera. I can barely get it all the way on camera diagonally. It's a very, very long piece. There are a number of these really long pieces. Here's another one that need to be cut, especially for the large bag. So what I'm suggesting that you do is once you get your fabric quilted in any way you decide you want to quilt it, then I would suggest that you look at the pattern where she tells you how to cut them out and always get the longest pieces cut out first, because otherwise you could end up having to go and quilt more fabric, and we just don't want to do that. So this is the start of it. I have already quilted mine. You can see my pieces are all quilted. What I did was I cut extra large pieces of the fabric and I put it on my long arm. Now you can absolutely quilt this on your domestic machine. The soft and stable that is used in these bags is really, really nice to put on your domestic sewing machine and sew with it. I've never had a bit of problem doing it and I've done multiple pieces. In fact, I will put a link up. I think it goes up to the top or maybe it goes to the bottom. I'm not sure, but I'll put a link, a card. It'll have a little eye on it with a circle, to a video where I showed you how I did go about quilting it on my domestic machine so that you can follow through that tutorial. Once I got it quilted on my long arm, I took it off and obviously got it all cut up. If you're going to quilt it on your domestic machine, I do suggest that you spray baste it or really pin it well. Because what happens when you quilt it is it will shift a little bit. So if you're cutting exact sizes that you need, you do need to make certain that you've got a little wiggle room in it. Now, Annie automatically gives you that extra wiggle room so that when you're cutting it the first cut, you've got plenty to work with. You should be just fine. But I am going to suggest that you spray baste it and pin it, or spray baste it, and then I'm going to bring this up close so that you can, I hope, see it. See this 1/8 of an inch all the way around? that's the other thing that I suggest you do, is that you go ahead and baste your piece down all the way around the four sides, and then that way you really aren't going to move a whole lot. Okay, so I think that covers everything that I've done up until now. Annie does include in her patterns these really nice little notes that tell you what size that you need to cut them and what needs to be quilted and what doesn't need to be quilted. I absolutely suggest that you do use these. And then I just use my little Wonder clips to keep them on there. And I have 2 baskets with Wonder clips in it. Here's one of them. And then I have one over at my sewing machine too. And I just leave a few, well, you can see this one's down a little bit because all the clips are on this piece. But I just leave it sit there so that I can get to my Wonder clips whenever I need them. So that's that. So my first thing I'm gonna do, I will be making one bag at a time. I'm gonna start with my large bag. I'll make that one first, and that is probably the one I will use to demo for you. And I will be making off camera the small and the medium so that I have all 3 sizes. I do have kits available on my website to make this. There are 3 different components to the kit. The first one is the pattern. The second one is the notions kit, and the notions kit will be enough to make all 3 of these bags. And the third component to it is the fabric kits, so that you can get Erin's fabric too. It just, I think, is absolutely adorable. I think this would be a great Easter present for somebody. I just think it, it screams spring and it's nice and fun. It is time to get going on our bags, so I will now be taking you over to my sewing machine. I'll see you over there. I want you to see how I go about organizing this to start working. What I've done is I've put all of the fabric pieces in one pile. These are pieces that I know we're gonna have to sew. And normally with Annie's patterns, what she does is she starts you out with doing all of the little pieces first, then she moves on to just assembling the bags. So what I've done is all of my quilted pieces and my mesh are in one pile, and I'm just setting those off to the side. And then all of the pieces that I know I have to work with and sew are in front of me. Now what Annie has us do to start with is we need to work on our zipper pulls. So I'm going to take these over to the ironing board, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by pressing these. So what I'll do is spray this good on the wrong side with Annie's best press. I'll flip it over and I'm going to press from this side to pull the best press right through the material. Then what I'll do is I will fold it in half and press it again. And then the last press that I will be doing is folding it in half again, just like this. And then in half one more time, which gets a little fussy doing without being actually at the iron, and end up with these nice little zipper pulls like this. Okay, I'm going to go on over to the ironing board and I'm going to take care of doing all of that. I'm going to show you an easy way to make the zipper pulls. I've got Clover's bias tape maker here, and I've got my stiletto. So I have pressed this and I'm going to slide it through the bottom there. So in you get it. Once you get it in, there's a little groove here, so you can just take this and slide it up. And I just kind of push it with my stiletto a little bit. And then you can reach in there and just grab it and it'll pull right through. And I'm just reaching in there with my stiletto and just pulling it up. Here it is, just about there. All right, now I can grab it with my fingers. And I'm gonna grab it and pull it out a little bit, and then what I'll end up doing is pushing it back in just so that it's a little bit straighter, and you can see there it is. So once I've done that, I'm gonna take my iron and I'm gonna start with the tip on there, and I'm gonna use my fingers to kind of keep this guiding straight. And as I move my iron down, I'm just going to slowly pull this back. And what this will do is make it really easy to just fold it in half and then top stitch it down. So this is where I start. I think I'm going to end up off camera here for a second. Sorry about that. Just slowly pulling it through. So now, this is pretty hot, so I gotta be careful. Now I've got it, the first fold done. So I can take it over to my sewing machine and just hold it, folding it in half like this, and then I can top stitch it down. So that's a really nice, quick way to make these zipper pulls. All right, I'm gonna put this piece of fabric down just because I think it'll make it a little bit easier for you to see what I'm working on. What I'm doing is, in your Notions kit, there is this fold over elastic, and I don't know if you've ever worked with it before, but I wanted to show you how I go about putting it on. So we're going to need a few supplies to do this. We're going to need some of our Wonder Clips. I'm going to grab a whole bunch of them. And we're going to need a couple of straight pins. So here's a couple straight pins. So the next thing I need to do is I need to take my fold over elastic. See, it creases in the center. And there you can see that there's a crease there. And I'm going to lay my mesh right on top of it. And I'm kind of centering it. Now I have purposely cut my fold over elastic a little bit larger because I want my feed dogs and my sewing machine to be able to catch them. So once I've done that, I'm going to just put my needle down through one of the mesh holes, and I'm going to put the needle right through and pick it up again. Usually I'm doing it on a solid surface, so it's a little bit easier. In fact, I'm going to move it down here to do it. And you can barely see me. I'll move it up again. And then you'll be able to see what I've done. I'll put it back and forth. So take it against a hard surface and just lay it down. All right, I've got it a little bit centered. Now I'm going to take my straight pin, holding my mesh down to where it was, and I'm just going to run the straight pin through it. I'm going to try to. All right, there we go. So I've got a hold of it. I run my straight pin through. I'm gonna then, here, I'll move it up here. See my straight pin? I'm gonna rotate it around now, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing again. And there's a reason why I rotated it. So now I've got my second pin, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take it down and then bring it up again. Okay. So now you can see here's my fold over elastic, and it's on top of my mesh. The next thing I'm going to do now that I've done that is I'm going to pick up the front of my mesh, or the side that's not attached, and I'm going to fold it over on top of it. Then I'm going to take my Wonder Clips, and I use a lot of Wonder Clips when I do this. And I'm going to attach my Wonder Clip all the way down to the edge. I'm going to lay it down again. And I'm going to put another Wonder Clip in there. All right. Now I can pick it up and I can put one in the center because I want that to stay as attached as I possibly can. I'll come down to the very end and I'm going to do that again. Just take it and put those Wonder Clips right on there to hold it tight in place. I got one more to put in there. Once you get a few, you can actually pick it up, but you do have to be careful. So next I'm going to remove my pins. Then I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to turn my zigzag stitch on, and I am going to zigzag it down. You do have a choice. You can straight stitch it if you want, but I want to zigzag mine. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to angle the camera so that you can see exactly how I do it. I'm not certain if you can see it or not, but I have an open toe foot on my machine, and this is actually my Bernina number 20. I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it right underneath the presser foot. It's got a hold of it. I don't have to worry about that. I am changing my stitch to a zigzag. I'm going to leave the width at 3, but I'm going to turn the length up to 2 because I don't need it real short. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put my needle down to get it started. And then I'm just going to sew. And I'm just very carefully crossing right over so that I can catch the mesh and the elastic. And I do have needle down, and I think that would help a lot in this instance. Okay. And I will now show you what it looks like. There you go. I hope you can see that. But it's just got a nice little zigzag. It'll still stretch for us because of the zigzag. It does actually stretch when you've got the straight stitch too. But that's all there is to it. So I am going to do all of my mesh now. And I am going to use this white elastic for them. And I will see you next week while we continue to make our all aboard train cases. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. See you next week. In the meantime, if you get a chance, go on over to Facebook and join our Facebook group, Margaret Lewin Quilting. I'll be posting pictures there all week. See ya. Bye.